Hey everyone. This is the Getcha Some Productions podcast. I think this is episode 85. I'm not 100% sure now. I probably should have checked that. We are a podcast covering all things from music production, related to music production, from the first note to the last fan. Many episodes are a business meeting between Dan and I, but today we're going to be doing an interview of sorts with Artemy Mukhin. Is that right?
Yep, yep.
Artemy is a Bard student, and Dan and I went to Bard. This is fun for us because maybe we'll chat about Bard and such. But today we're just going to talk to Artemy and let the conversation flow. Please like and subscribe, the usual podcast stuff. And Dan, I don't know if you saw the email, but we were accepted back into Reverb's affiliate program.
Praise the Lord.
So, Artemy, we were affiliates of the platform Reverb. Have you heard of Reverb?
Yeah, like the online selling.
Marketplace, yeah,
Yeah.
music marketplace. So we were affiliates, but then they changed the platform they use, and so we got kicked off and we had to reapply. And so I was kind of concerned that, we have our listenership and viewership is so low that I was concerned they weren't going to let us back into the program, but they did. So if you want to support the podcast, you can click the link that we're going to include for our Reverb affiliation, and you can buy yourself something if you need something: a keyboard, guitar strings, earplugs. You could literally go buy yourself anything, and we get a small commission to direct you there, and there's no additional cost to you. Dan, did I miss anything in this intro? I feel like I fucked it up.
No, I think you're good. I mean, your name's Keith, my name's Dan.
Right, that's the thing I missed. Yeah.
And you mentioned our wonderful affiliate Reverb and our talented guest. So I think we're good. Let's get right into a quick interview here.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So Artemy,
Sure.
Tell us about yourself, man. Just give us a background. Actually, this is sort of like we actually use this podcast not just to showcase people, but also as like a networking sort of vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know. There might be a collaboration down the road, or maybe we know somebody that you need to meet up with, or vice versa. So we'd actually just like to get to know you personally.
For sure.
So where are you from? What's your situation? Where'd you grow up? Background, blood type.
Yeah, so I was born in Boston, and I lived in Boston for about 5 years, and then I moved to Pennsylvania. I lived like outside Philly, and that's when I started doing music around, I want to say 6 or 7. I started playing piano, and shortly after I started like improvising a lot. And I had a great teacher who was a jazz pianist, and he helped me write down a lot of my earlier work, like really simple things, but he helped me write it down, and from there on, I was started composing, improvising more, learning more piano. And, eventually down the road, I was, moved to New York when I was, around 11, beginning of middle school. And that's when I really started, composition at a more, I guess, serious level, because I was doing all these, after school programs, which are great, where they just, play your music, teach you a lot of stuff. And yeah, from then on, it's really went up, and it's been busier. Yeah.
I'm a jazz freak. So do you still play jazz?
Nah, not really. I wish I did more, but I listen to a little bit of jazz. Like,
Do you still improvise?
yeah, that's how I write most of my music, really.
Oh.
Just improvising, recording it, trying to find something that's interesting. I find without the piano, I can't compose.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
have That's cool. Hey, so
Are you mostly a composer now, or a performer, or both?
Mostly a composer, a bard.
Okay.
But I still, I still take lessons in piano and I still
Mhm.
learn music because I think it's definitely necessary to play piano and also to compose. You know, it helps my composition a lot, I feel.
Yeah, if you use the piano as a vehicle for composition, then your technical ability on the piano will be a limitation to your composition,
That's true.
in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So
So, what year of Bard are you now?
I'm a sophomore, so
Cool.
second year.
And
Yeah.
so Dan and I went to Bard. Uh, I graduated 2000. Dan, was it 2001?
2001.
So yeah, so we were there a long time ago.
Yeah. Hey, so does Bard still do a moderation project at the end of so you're in that, you must be getting ready for that, or doing that
Exactly.
soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, for Bard, I mean, in the conservatory, we all do two majors. So I'm just like, I think I'm going to moderate probably next semester into my other major, which is economics.
Hmm.
And I think for music composition, I don't really have to moderate or anything.
Okay.
It's like I think I'm already part of, the conservatory, which is nice. But I have to do
And
like
yeah,
concerts and stuff like that in my senior year and my fifth year because it's the 5-year program.
Mm.
a
And you're
5-year
studying.
program.
Yeah,
Interesting.
5 years. So the last year is, I think it's only music. So applying to grad schools.
So it's a 5-year program, and this is part of the conservatory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the college and the conservatory.
Yeah, I don't think, Dan, I don't think there was a
I think
conservatory.
this is a totally different
Yeah.
setup they have now. And Keith mentioned you're working with Joan Tower.
Yeah, yeah. This year.
Fantastic. She was there when she was a real source of inspiration, really pushed those of us who weren't, like Keith and I weren't in classical composition or anything, but she
Mhm.
would still work with us and push us so hard,
Hmm.
especially rhythmic subdivisions, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Is just a real blast to work with, even on the jazz side. Um, totally. So that's
Yeah,
great, man. You're in good hands, I'd say.
I did.
yeah.
I did. I think I told Artemy this story, but I did take a composition class with Joan,
Yes.
and it was. I mean, I'm surprised she passed me, frankly, because I was awful. I was so horribly awful, and I think my final project was. I'm not exaggerating. Okay, actually, you know what, Dan? I think you know what my final project for her. My final project for her class was that atonal, like 12 tone row, sort of half classical, half jazz thing we did that I
With
did
that
for my
long bass
final,
line.
with that really long bass line I forced
Yes.
you all to learn.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my final project. But in actuality, it was really only, it was, in essence, actually, it was really only 12, it was a 12 tone row.
Hmm.
So, and it was improvisationally based. So my final project was actually only 12 notes. It was like just like
Really?
it was like four measures of music. She probably, if she heard this today, she'd probably retract my grade. She'd probably like, what was I thinking?
No,
I should have fucking failed that
no.
guy.
Joan is awesome. Nah, you
I
showed up
should
and
have
you
failed him.
tried. No, come on, come on.
So
That's what I like about Joan.
let's get
Yeah,
nerdy. Let's tell us about your we
yeah,
want to know about your compositional process. Like
yeah.
let's do like a deep dive. Let's get really into the music side of things.
Hmm. Yeah. The music side of things. Like I said, it was really a lot of it's improvisationally based, and
Yeah.
my process is I kind of through compose, so I don't really have too much of a structure in mind when I compose. I usually just kind of write through and I see what sounds best next, and then I go back, I backtrack, and I kind of put things together. But yeah.
Yeah, so let's just say hypothetically, like you're playing
Mhm.
and you're like, oh, that's a nice phrase or that's a nice little section. And then do you write it by hand?
Usually I use Sibelius, like a program on the computer.
And
Yeah.
do you do the one where you play it right in? Like it transcribes as you play?
No, I kind of use my mouse and just put in the notes.
So
But
you click it in bit
exactly,
by bit.
and then you can click it back and it can replay it for you,
Yeah.
just because you can always hear what you wrote. And
Yeah.
yeah, then I kind of just take that idea and try to expand it, flip it upside down, like try to build something from it.
Do you,
It's
do you ever use Sibelius like let's say you just said flip it upside down. When you say flip
Mhm.
it upside down, do you ever just use Sibelius? I don't even know if this is a feature, but do you just like is there a way to invert it
Yeah.
in the program?
Yeah, you can just hit like the retrograde button and
Yeah.
then flip it. It's interesting.
Uh,
Yeah, it's good to hear like different things you can do that would be like really difficult to imagine or,
Yeah.
on pen and paper, which some people prefer pen and paper, or some people say Sibelius is okay, but
Yeah.
I easier for me. I'm used to kind of using the computer as a tool.
is your
Yeah.
music solo piano, or do you do orchestration, and what type of orchestration, if so, do you what kind of ensembles?
Yeah, I do many different ensembles. It's actually been a while since I've done solo piano.
Mhm.
I did a string quartet recently. Um, I did like ensemble with flute, clarinet, piano, cello. I do many different kind of ensembles, orchestra. Um, but yeah, you do
Mm.
do those solo pieces. But yeah, the whole thing.
So how what let's just say if for example like you're composing a piece and you I'm interested in like how you think about just like getting into how you think about harmony and stuff like let's say you get to a section where you don't know what comes next. Do you just keep playing it over and over again and trying different things? Do you like think of ideas? Like do you think like do you have like a list of all the chords laid out next to you and just like I'll try every chord, you know what I mean? Or I'll try every note, you know? Because I've heard stuff
Yeah.
like that, like oh, I've tried every note and none of them work, you know? So it's like oh, what comes next, you know? Stuff like that. Do you come like do you get to situations like that and how do you get through them in your process?
Yeah, no, I definitely do get stuck a lot in my music. Yeah, I think it's just the kind of listening back to the context, like what happened before, and you kind of almost like singing what you imagine could be next.
Mm,
Like singing out loud just helps kind of intuitively, it helps you figure out what you think should be the next thing. So yeah, just the piano, the voice,
mm.
Sibelius.
So you literally sing it.
Yeah, literally singing it does help.
Yeah.
I'm not a great singer, but you know,
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, I guess I do that too. Do you ever like get up and dance around and like,
I haven't tried that. I'll have to try.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten into ruts with composition. I feel like, I actually, I compiled a list. I
Uh-huh.
don't use it. I should use it more. I call it, actually, it's a course on my guitar lesson website, but I call it, it's a free course. Actually, it's not really even a course. It's just a list. I call it, systematic creativity, but it's just a list of like different ideas to try. Like go and some of them are simple. Like go melody goes up instead of down. You know,
Mhm.
put a rest in. You know, it's like sometimes when you're in the moment and you just don't even know what to do next, you
Exactly.
can't. You get in your head and you're like, oh, I can't think of what's going to come next, or I don't know what to do next, and then it's like you get into like a I don't know how to describe it other than like you just mind fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and
Exactly.
you're just like, and then you can't think of anything, and you're like, oh shit, I can't think of anything to do. And then, but
Mhm.
then sometimes it's helpful just to have a list of things like, oh, okay, there's like 100 things I could try.
Mhm.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's easy to get stuck, especially if you try to make everything kind of like perfect right after. Just
Yeah.
you need to get a good flow to it. Yeah.
Do you compose with other instruments in mind, or do you just basically compose everything on the piano and then like if it's four parts, then you feel like, oh, this might be appropriate for a quartet of some sort or something like that?
Yeah, I think of the ensemble I'm gonna write for. I usually have like um hopefully people in mind to play it. That's
Yeah.
always important.
Yes.
But I
So
I would
not more than just the instrument, but the actual specific person.
Yeah, that's ideally I want to have the people in mind to have, people to work with because it's always really helpful to have someone that actually plays the instrument work with you. And you ask them, is this possible? How would this sound? Because it's always a surprise, hearing it from Sibelius on the concert stage. Then you hear it and it's like completely different. It's surprising.
Yeah.
And since you're in school, you're hearing a lot of other musicians. You're around a lot of energy. Do you
Yeah.
find yourself inspired? You hear someone play something, a musician you want to work with, and you hear their phrasing, their ideas,
Hmm.
and they end up inspiring you. Oh, that just gave me a great idea. Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of great musicians at Bard. I'm very lucky to be, working here.
Mm.
S- Yeah.
I was just curious. Are there composers that you currently that might, other people might be able to listen to that you're inspired by 20th century, 21st century composers that you're into?
Yeah. I love the French composer like Ravel. I'm learning a Ravel sonatine right now.
Okay.
I Debussy.
Hmm.
I love the colors in their music. Definitely. Um, I've been listening. I took a course on Beethoven on the string quartets of Beethoven last semester, which was a great course and exposed me to that world. I haven't listened to a
Wow.
lot of the string
Those
quartets.
are three very passionate composers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're great.
Yep.
So you're not a Bach guy?
I love Bach as well.
Come on.
Yeah, Bach.
Some people are just like Bach freaks. Like you get some people who are just like Bach is the only one, you know? That's like
Well, it's
people
like
who
the
like
periodic table. I mean, how could you not be? I don't know. But
that's like people who like jazz and they're just like jazz is finished after Charlie Parker, you know? It's like, no, come on.
Yeah.
Um any non-classical actually, well, let's go back. Are there any modern classical composers you really like, people like very modern, like composing today?
Wasn't today. Well,
Joan Tower.
Joan Tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joan Tower. Philip Glass. I mean, I like
Mm.
Muslim John Adams.
Mhm.
Who else comes to mind? Julia Wolf. Those
Mm.
are some. Nico Muhly. Some composers that are alive today that I like. Missy
Do you
Mazzoli.
I'm sorry,
She's
who is it?
Missy Mazzoli. She's actually on faculty.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
so great composer, and
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get to work with her next year.
What's an example? This is going to sound crazy, but like I'm actually kind of like jazz is the my of the high art. Jazz is my thing, but
Hmm.
I'm a sucker for pop music. I
Hmm.
love I love all of it. The cheesy stuff. I love hip hop, so it's not kind of like And I never really got into classical that much. What like when you hear a piece, like what's something that really like sets you off, like that I don't know, when you hear something that's new, that you haven't heard before, that like is like, oh, that's something. Are you thinking, is it just emotional, or as a composer and a professional, do you recognize like, oh, like I'm sure there's no such thing as a unique chord progression, but do you recognize like, oh man, that was like a new movement, or that was something really new, the way that he or she did something, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
what gets your juices flowing?
I would say I love harmony. Some good harmony, even like in a simple pop song, or just not. It doesn't have to be in a classical context.
Mm.
Is great. Like when I listen to a song, that's one of the things that I listen for. Good melody. But it's hard to say, yeah, it's because it's been done before, but doing it in a new context and bringing it out in a creative way, which can be surprising.
That's the challenge. I
Yeah.
feel like pretty much everything's been done.
Yeah.
But it's like there's something, I guess it's like you said, new contexts.
Hmm.
You know, it's like we only get 12 in the Western scheme of things, we only get 12 notes. So it's like there is a finite amount of melody, there's a finite amount of harmony, but then how you put it together, orchestration, the space, if you leave space, you know, and then
Hmm.
how you play it is makes a big difference.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
What's your what's your like naughtiest music that you like? What's your, your
Guilty pleasure?
guilty pleasure, you know?
Guilty pleasure. Uh, I don't know. I do listen to a wide variety. I like disco. Disco is great. Um,
That absolutely counts as a guilty pleasure.
That, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
fair.
Disco. So you're like, okay, good.
Yeah, yeah, it's good music.
Oh, and come on, the harmonies and the Bee Gees, if you ever listen to the Bee Gees,
Exactly,
I mean, come on,
exactly,
those guys can sing.
Yeah, I,
exactly. Yeah,
I think the Bee Gees might be a supergroup. I mean, when you listen to them, really, the precision, the harmony in general, and the harmonies, the execution is really expert. So it's like when I listen to it, and I think most people think it's fluffy, but for me, they might be like geniuses or something. I don't know. What you doing on your back? So good. Do you
yeah.
have any records out and
Uh,
yeah,
like recordings or
yeah,
CD.
recordings,
Yeah,
CDs,
Uh,
stuff on iTunes, you know what I mean, stuff like that, or
yeah,
Spotify.
I have a website and all my stuff is on like SoundCloud, but you can
Cool.
find it all on my website, but
Yeah.
nothing really released
Okay.
for on Spotify yet. But yeah,
We'd like to include links for everyone to check it out when
absolutely.
we post the show. So just, after the show's done, send some links over.
definitely.
Um, what is your, so let's say like what's your big dream? What's your vision for your musical career? You know?
Yeah. I'm kind of in the midst of deciding what I'm gonna kind of pursue because I also, I'm doing econ,
Hmm.
economics, and music, which are two pretty different paths with
Hmm.
some, intersecting ideas. But I've always liked film music, so I actually took a class on film composition last semester, and uh, we really, I really liked it. So maybe some kind of work in film music would be, the goal, the dream.
Yeah.
But concert composition, for the concert stage is also something I would love to do. Yeah, but yeah,
Is there a dream orchestra that you'd like to hear play your stuff?
New York Philharmonic probably, yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
I love
That
it. That's great. That's a good goal. Absolutely.
yeah,
Would you
hopefully.
ever would you ever consider doing a collaboration with a rock group and an orchestra behind it? And some like I don't even know what some like epic silly I don't even know what something like that's really dramatic, you know?
Yeah, like rock group and orchestra at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, possibly. I'm open to. I'm not closed off to one type of music. Uh,
Hmm.
that would be fun.
So we are coming up on a half an hour. I definitely want to respect your time. And for we're Keith and I are old farts, so time for us just flies by.
This
And
is
you know, we definitely want to post links to your music now, and we really want to stay in touch as I know you're going to be producing so much when you're at bar. It's such a productive, amazing time.
definitely.
So we'd love to, as the time moves forward, know how your work's going. You got big concerts coming up in a couple of years and all
Yep.
that. So we'd love to help be, promote it and hear how things are going with
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, definitely. I'll let know, and you can
Yep.
send it out. Thank you.
Yeah, always let us know. In fact, do you have a mailing list?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I think maybe you should start making a mailing list, and Dan and I can be the first people on it.
Perfect.
There you go.
That's it.
Shameless self-promotion. It's just part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And what is your website? Just tell us verbalize the URL so we can
Yeah.
have it,
It's
but then send it to me, on the back end as well.
yeah, it's artemis.art, so ARTEMYS.ART.
Artemis Art. Yeah, artemis.art. Nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, pretty sick.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Nice. So, yeah, thanks for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad we finally got to do it. I know that I was hard
Yeah.
to pin down for a while, and actually credit you with following up. So we should be the ones to follow up, but you did, so that's great. We also actually look forward to having you on the show in the future. If you want to come on, in 6 months or something, that would be great as well.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, and that's it. Thanks very much for coming on.
thank you.
And for all the people viewing, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, etc. And check out Artemy's art. We'll include a link to his website.
Right. Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you.